Use it to fight with contested cliffs.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. We're underway here in the finals. Merriam will just nile past the turn back. Bautista with the mountain. He'll kick it back. Merriam with a Frostburn Weird, one of the premier cards he can play against this deck. Shuts down the ground. As Bautista does draw a mountain, he will play it and will follow up with a Burning Tree Emissary, trigger, Firefish Striker. Pretty good start.
Firefish Striker is important in this matchup. Frostburn Weird's really hard to break through game one, particularly when Gino's list plays no main deck Mizium Mortars. Frostburn Weird is moat otherwise, so you gotta have something.
I've been told by Kevin Gerhardt, a Shardless Bug player who we saw make the finals of Detroit, as here's a Tidebinder Mage, an evolution of a Cloudfin Raptor. I'm not allowed to give up my allegiance to Ohio, as he is from there.
And this is one of the, this highlights the problem that Mono Red has in the matchup. Ross is deciding between tapping down the 2/2 Burning Tree Emissary or the Firefish Striker because he believes there's a chance that Gino can never get to Battalion, and he would rather have him have a 2/1 than a 2/2 on offense.
Well, that's a bit of an issue.
Yeah, that is an issue. There's the matchup in a summary. But
Bautista with a couple options in his hand right now, though.
He has a Reckoner and a Fanatic, so this is good stuff. But again, is he going to be able to deal any damage on the ground? It seems very unlikely.
I like the one thing, too, here is Ross knows exactly who he is in this matchup. He's not the aggressor. It would have been very easy for him to attack with Frostburn Weird before doing any of that stuff, and then playing Cloudfin Raptor into Tidebinder Mage, tap your guy down. But then, Bautista would actually have a pretty good attack with the Burning Tree Emissary, and it's not about that. He's the control deck here because Gino can't play the control deck.
He can win with Master of Waves very easily, Thassa pretty easily, and with Random Flyers also kind of easily. So there's no real rush.
Boros Reckoner has arrived. You see the devotion here. Up to 6 for Bautista. Counting that, of course, because of Fnatic Amogus.
And Reckoner is not bad in this spot. It gets a lot worse now with Thassa, but a first striker, it's guaranteed to deal some amount of damage one way or the other. No, not that many cards in Gino's deck can say that.
Merriam working his way around the corner now. Attacks for 2 in the air after the evolution of Cloudfin Raptor, thanks to Thassa. Firefish Striker, you're not going anywhere. You stay tapped because Tidebinder Mage is still in play. Bautista draws a card for the turn. Again, we know he has a Fnatic Amogus, and we know about a Chandra's Phoenix.
I have to say, I also really appreciate 2 players in the finals who have made some effort with their basic lands here. Ross with a matching set of Portal Islands, very nice. Gino busting out the Euros. These are not terribly expensive, but I appreciate the effort.
Yeah, that's very nice.
It's very nice.
Your seal of approval.
Yeah. I'm not asking, just asking for a little bit of effort.
Fnatic Amogus has shown up now. You see the devotion again. It's going to be up to 7, so Merriam's going to go down to 13. And what it might take for Gino in this game is to run off a couple of those. I think one thing that Gino was considering doing at this point is, well, maybe I'll attack with a Boros Reckoner. See if Merriam has some interest in putting his Thassa in front of that, and I can put 5 damage somewhere, maybe up to Ross's face, and that's the attack that he's going to make.
Yep.
And I think the block I actually might like a little bit better. It's just, okay, Frostburn Weird can actually just jump in front, but actually I'm a little surprised to see no block.
Well, blocking with Frostburn Weird means he loses the Weird, and then loses Devotion for Thassa potentially.
Okay.
Reckoner is just kind of a little bit of an awkward card for Mono Blue at times. It's not enough to swing the matchup, but again, it dealt 3 damage that turn. Pretty much no other creature that Red has access to can attack on this board. So
Merriam going to take a look at the top card, see if this is what he needs.
The 2 cards that differentiate Gino's list from the list that I like to play, Main Deck Boros Reckoner and Fnatic Amogus, do some real work against Mono Blue Devotion.
Looks like Merriam is happy with what he found. One thing for Ross, too, is that he knows he's not playing against a deck that has a lot of removal. I think that's actually pretty important. 4 Lightning Strikes and 2 Steering Plots. That's it.
Yep.
So here come the attackers. You've got a Cloudfin Raptor in the air. You've got a Thassa on the ground.
This is the tough part about playing against Mono Blue. Occasionally, you have to preemptively chump block because Thassa means you may not get the opportunity to chump block down the line.
Yeah, that's what makes it really tough.
And you have to assume that Ross is only making this attack because he can believe he can generate enough blockers on the way back to not have to be blocking with his Thassa.
Bautista says, all right, I'm going to take the 7. Go to 11. Follow up here's a Judge's Familiar, and now Tidebinder Mage to shut down the Reckoner. Really nice turn there from Merriam.
Yep.
And all he's trying to do is just hold down the fort. Don't lose to anything stupid. That's the entire plan here. You know, this is a situation where he wants to close the door fast enough that something like running Fanatics doesn't happen.
Yes. There are still definitely threatening draws in Gino's deck.
On Gino's hand right now, he does have a Mountain along with a Challenger's Phoenix and an Eidolon of the Great Revel. Eidolon seems a little bit slow to the party right now, though.
It's pretty poor in this matchup and on this board. It's hard to play the Eidolon. He may just want a 2-2 for 2. Maybe he's just willing to chump block.
Yeah.
But it's really hard to play an Eidolon, especially when your opponent's scrying their draw step.
Problem is, Merriam may not let him chump block.
Yes.
That might be the big problem.
And this goes back to the play from last turn, which is the big problem here being, is Ross attacking with that Thassa in a scenario where he needs anything to block on the way back? Probably not.
Challenger's Phoenix does show up to the party. Bautista considering an attack here with this card. Can this do anything for him if Merriam lets it through? Again, the card that Ross just has to be the most cognizant of is Fanatic of Mogus #2.
For sure.
That's the one that can steal this game off from underneath them, and I think that's the one that Gino's hoping to draw. How many creatures can I keep back? Do I die on an attack on the next turn? You know, we're only got about 2 more turns left in this game.
Yeah. But his devotion count is sufficient that Fanatic is lethal.
Yes.
Now, Ross may make an attack next turn that forces Gino to block with something, and then everything's thrown for a loop at that point.
Yep. I think that's probably got to be Merriam's plan, is to make an attack that reduces the devotion that's on the table. So Bautista with this Phoenix deciding, do I attack into this Judge's Familiar? And if I do, will he chump block, or do I get those 2 points of damage across? Or do I need this on defense? Decisions here for the mono red player who's having a fantastic tournament. Again, 3rd seed and in the finals. Did not lose in the Swiss. Has not lost yet this weekend.
Yeah.
He's going to come across for 2 in the air. Merriam's going to go down to 8, I presume. But we'll see if he has interest in blocking.
I don't know if a chump block changes the math here. He's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It is significant on board because if he takes this hit, the board is now lethal with Fanatic of Mogus. Oh, I guess it is anyway because if he draws a Fanatic, that's another point of devotion. So 4, 5. So it doesn't change the math for Fanatic.
And you see Ross is doing the math now on devotion symbols, I imagine. And it looks like he's going to go down to 8. Eidolon of the Great Rebels, the follow-up.
I think he drew the same conclusion that we did, which is it does not change Fanatic, and it's not worth chump blocking because no other card is really significant.
A Thassa Scry. We'll put the top card to the bottom here for Merriam. Ross will take a draw. I believe the card in his hand right now is a Nightfield Spectre, which he may have no interest in casting simply because of the Eidolon that's in play, but then again, he may. And it looks like, okay, we're going to put some creatures forward here. That 4th land is pretty important because it makes things unblockable.
Yep.
You can actually make 2 creatures unblockable. And so I believe Ross is going to do some math here of, okay, what can I force through to get the job done here? Can I get it all done in 1 turn? Unblockable and Tidebinder in this, so we're going to come across for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
All right, so it's Fanatic or bust. Gino's played the game into this spot. He can still win.
Can he do it? 1 draw. It's a good slow roll.
Not quite.
Rakdos Cackler, not you.
Not quite.
Can't even cast it, of course, because of the Eidolon being in play, but it's not like it would help him anyway. He's going to turn everybody sideways, hope for the best. Maybe Merriam makes some sort of epic mistake here, but I don't think that's going to happen.
We call this the due diligence alpha strike.
Yeah. Merriam will put some blockers in their appropriate places. You'll see how these will line up. Burning Emissary will come through and deal 2. Damage will resolve, of course. Some creatures will trade in combat. The follow-up will be a Rakdos Cackler. Ross says, trigger that, you're dead. And we will move on to a second game here. Ross Merriam does win game number 1. Mono Blue, Devotion, up a game against Mono Red. We'll bring it back here to the booth very quickly. Cedric Phillips, Patrick Sullivan, Star City Games Open Series here in Providence, Rhode Island. You've got the rules. I've got the one, I was going to say 12-year question.
We don't give out 12 years
I don't think
just
the
yet.
boss would like that. So
No.
how about 1 year, 12 months of premium?
So he's going to ask you a trivia question. Tweet your answer at SCG Live, hashtag SCG Premium. Of the correct responders, one will be selected at random for a full year of Star City Games premium content. Don't worry about responding first. Just get in your answer. One of the correct ones is chosen at random.
Yeah.
And this contest is run at the sole discretion of StarCityGames.com. Twitch is in no way affiliated with this giveaway.
It's a pretty easy one. Next week on the Season 2 Invitational, where are we going to be? The city that I love, not the state, which is the best one. What city are we going to be in for our Season 2 Invitational next week? Name that city, hashtag the answer SCG Premium. And again, we will announce at the conclusion of our finals round, which Ross Merriam is currently up a game in, playing mono blue. And I imagine that things might get a little more difficult here for Bautista in just a moment.
Yes. That's the short.
It's not great. It's not great.
He's got some sideboard cards too.
Okay, all right. We can start with mono red. Then I'll let you fire away.
4 Mizium Mortars and 2 Searing Bloods. That's some action here. I don't think Hammer, Searing, Skullcrack, or Burning Earth has anything to do with this game. But he does get some additional removal, and you saw that game the Frostburn Weirds and the Tiebinder Mages just lock the game up so fast. Those cards give him a little bit of extra play, and he's got some pretty easy cards to sideboard out. Fire Drinker Satyrs fairly poor against mono blue, as is Eidolon of the Great Revel. So he's got some easy cuts, and he gets to make some pretty reasonable upgrades.
On the other side of things, you see Ross's 2s and 1s. We've seen this multiple times over the course of the weekend. Relevant cards is what I want to point out here. Claustrophobia seems relatively good since he'll be on the draw. Shutting down Boris Reckner, I think, is important.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that was one of the key pieces Gino had in that game to almost steal it.
Gotta like Domestication here as well. It is a little expensive at 4 mana, but the effect is so powerful, I think you're going to want that as well.
Domesticating a Boros Reckoner is pretty close to game over.
You see Dispel, you know that your opponent has 4 Lightning Strikes and then presumably 4 Searing Bloods after sideboard, so you might want that Singleton Dispel, I think.
If I was in Ross's seat, I would stay away from it. The only way that he can really, if he's just tapping out and doing stuff every turn, it's really hard for him to lose, and there aren't that many targets in the deck. The Rapid Hybridization, for example, is just a better version of Dispel because it's good against all of the instants in Gino's deck. He can just fizzle these Searing Bloods and removal spells and turn his own creatures into 3/3s. And Rapid Hybridization has additional flexibility against some stuff in Gino's deck.
And then, of course, you do see the Rapid Hybrid that you did mention. And then the 2 Jace Architect of Thoughts, which is a pretty good card against Mono Blue, I have found. It might not be great against this, against Mono Red, but it might not be great against this version. Or do you still like it?
It's tough. Against the version that I generally play, Architect of Thought is very good against me. The problem here is that, look at what's going on with Ross's deck right now. You're talking about bringing in the 2 copies of Domestication. You're talking about bringing in the 2 copies of Jace Architect of Thought. You're certainly not talking about cutting Master of Waves. And one of the ways for Ross to lose this matchup is just by drawing too many 4s and stalling on lands. So he still needs to keep his curve intact through all of this as well. So I don't know if all the cards are really powerful. I just don't know how many total 4-drops he's going to want in his deck.
We'll see how things do change here. Again, we do believe this matchup is fairly favorable for number 29 on our Season 2 leaderboard here, Ross Merriam. It's been a really good tournament for him. Obviously a very good tournament for Gino as well. But I think one thing that really happens in this tournament now is that Mono Blue Devotion may be a real choice here for players next week at the Invitational.
There's a lot of groupthink that goes on with Magic deck selection. I'm sure there's a lot of people on the sidelines for the last month or two who have said, yeah, I really like Mono Blue Devotion, but no one's really playing it, and it just doesn't seem very good, and I don't see it top 8 tournaments, and so I'm not going to play it. And all they're really looking for is the rationalization that the deck is still viable. And Ross has run through this tournament 1 game away from winning it, gives the sort of justification to the people who are inclined to play that deck in the first place.
One person I imagine we'll see next weekend playing this deck is Sam Black.
Probably.
I can't imagine he'll be playing anything else. I know he's been dabbling in new decks and things like that. He's been trying new things, but he went 8-0 at the Invitational last time with Mono Blue. That actually kind of went under the radar, the fact that he did that. So I think next weekend, I don't know how much Mono Blue we're going to see, but I think 1 person will be playing it. And if Ross is able to win this tournament, maybe 2.
I could see it being 5% of the room.
It seems like a right time, right place kind of deck.
7% of the room.
Yeah.
It's going to be more than it would have been 2 days ago.
That's for sure.
Tell you what.
That is for sure.
But getting back to the point about the domestications and the Jaces for a moment, what's Ross supposed to cut from his deck here?
That was the tough part, right?
I see 4 easy cuts. Bident, 2 copies of Hall of Triumph, and a Cyclonic Rift. Those cards are not very good against Gino. Everything else in his deck is excellent. I mean, what's the next worst card? Gale, Rider Sliver, and then Is it Night Veil Spectre? I mean, you really have to start digging for what's the next worst card?
Maybe Judge's Familiar simply because you don't have very many spells to counter with it?
There's
It's still fine.
Yeah, there's still one-topless creatures in the deck.
Yeah.
Your seedings for the player meeting have now
Game 2 underway.
Please make
Bautista
your way
with just a
to
mountain.
seedings.
Well, we know Judge's Familiar's still in.
Yeah.
So there you go. Turn 1 here for Merriam. The follow-up for Bautista is going to be an Eidolon of Great Revel.
This card has the potential to be good on the play. I assume Gino removed Fire Drinker Satyr from his deck.
I would have to imagine that's the case, yeah.
Maybe 2 copies of Chandra's Phoenix. Phoenix is not very good against Mono Blue Devotion.
Merriam going to play a copy of Frostburn Weird. We'll take 2. And then just pass the turn back. So Merriam down to 18. Bautista will draw a card here in just a moment. Oh, there's a Fire Drinker, so still in. A little
Yep.
surprising.
Well, it could be, maybe it's Cackler. I mean, some of the ones could have gone in some amount. Fire Drinker Satyr can at least trade up against Weird in some spots,
Yeah, that's true.
whereas Cackler is just not even a card anymore. Also can trade up against Night Veil Spectre. This is something that Cackler can't do.
You really don't like Rakdos Cackler. You're mean.
I really like Rakdos Cackler. It's just, this matchup is what it is.
A little double block. You got 1 and 1 there. So bye-bye Judge's Familiar. Judge's Familiar will be first. Frostburn will be second. So 1 to the Judge's Familiar, 1 to the Frostburn Weird. There goes the Eidolon. And what this feels like to me is a Searing Blood.
That's a really good block there from Ross if that's the case. If he blocks with just Frostburn Weird, then it gets hit with Searing Blood.
Oh, maybe not. Okay, so there's the turn back. An Island and a Night Veil Spectre. Merriam will take 2, so long as Bautista does remember his trigger. We'll see. Might be a little late to the party on that one.
Yep.
Again, it is Bautista's card, so he does have to remember the trigger of his own effects. Yeah, that one was
Yeah.
missed.
Well, this is another tough element of the matchup for Mono Red here. Searing Blood is, in the abstract, one of your better cards against Mono Blue, but it's not even guaranteed to be good in any given game.
Mm-hmm.
If they draw Tiebinder Mage, then it's sweet. But against these kind of draws, it's a real struggle to cash in for value.
Bautista taking a look at his hand. Searing Blood, Lightning Strike hiding out over there. It's a rough road to get through.
Yeah, without cards like Maka or Dynacharge in the list, these kind of boards are really burdensome for Mono Red to get through. You're basically just looking at Fnatic as your way to steal the game.
Yeah. Wow, and now Boros Reckoner comes in. Take a draw, will Merriam. Night Veil Spectre coming across. This feels like maybe he's looking for a land.
Pretty bad sign here for Gino if Ross can attack.
That came in really fast. This got to be a...
Oh, God.
Oh. A domestication on a Reckoner and adding 2 Blue Devotion. It feels like you have had this happen to you a time or 12.
Well, so the thing is, whenever the Mono Blue player is tapping 4 lands, you lose the game.
Okay.
It's just whichever, like Jace on that board's game over.
Yep.
Master Waves is game over.
Yep.
Domestication's game over. Even Biden's game over.
Yeah, fair.
So it's just what that's the worst one, of course, because people go out of their way to play Boros Reckoner to beat decks like Mono Red. So when yours gets stolen from you, it's pretty bad.
No one said it would be easy.
This was for a while, in fact, in my Mono Red list when I was trying to play additional pump spells. I was playing Titan Strength back when Domestication was really popular, in part for
To knock the Domestication
Right.
off. Wow, you went through some extreme means.
Yeah, I won probably 15% of my matches against Mono Blue with this mixture of strategies.
Very nice. Very nice.
Which is greater than 0 at least, but
You're right. That is greater than 0.
not by much.
You mathematician, you.
Yeah. It's a mathemagician.
Bautista looking at, again, a Lightning Strike, a Searing Blood, a couple other options here. There's a Rakdos Cackler. If he plays that, he's going to have to take 2. You can see how much he's slowed down this game because he knows this game is going to be real hard to win.
Pay them a visit,
Yeah.
see what they have, see if there's anything you like. Around the room, we have the dealer booth. These are the only people allowed.
Gino, you have my
to buy
sympathies.
or sell
I've been here
firearms.
myself.
Yep.
We're free to trade, but no
Lightning Strike the Boros
Oh.
Reckoner.
Other than what the
Eidolon's going to
Star
trigger.
City games
That's what Ross was pointing at that for. And now he's got to decide what he wants to send this at, which could be the Fire Drinker Satyr. Jesus.
keep all your food and drink off the
It's a
table.
chain reaction.
Yeah.
I don't want anyone
Gino going to end up taking 3.
Tough turn for Gino.
Just got to take that in stride.
Yep.
Across from an empty seat.
And all he can do is pass the turn back now. Doesn't want to guess another spell. He could play Rakdos Cackler. It's going to be a 1-1 that can block or a 2-2 that can't. And we'll have to take 2 either way because of the Eidolon.
Yep.
You can see just how tough this matchup is.
Yeah. And Eidolon's a pretty sweet addition for red beatdown decks, especially those with a Devotion theme. But I suspect it makes your blue Devotion matchup even worse.
And another domestication, sure. We're having a real ball now. In comes the Frostburn Weird. Attack here for 4. A trigger here from Nightville Spectre will reveal a Fire Drink Crusader, which Ross can cast, actually, if he'd like.
The upshot of all of this is now he gets a Searing Blood something.
Yeah, if we're looking for positives, we have found one. He'll have to take 2 to do so. But he does get the Searing Blood something. Merriam going to go down to 15.
We are going to be at
And I believe he's going to have to cast that Rakdos Cackler.
9 rounds today, and this is a competitive round.
Now, Merriam will take a draw.
I would like to ask you
Cloudfin Raptor is what he picked up.
verify
This will be a lethal attack, so he does have to block those Bautista. A trigger here will net Merriam a mountain.
in this tournament. If you do not have a waiver,
He will play that mountain. Play the Fire Drink Crusader, maybe. Oh, look, order of operations are key.
verify on your deck list that you have
Now Gale Rider Sliver, now Fire Drink
Beautiful.
Crusader. There it is. That is how you become a champion. More evolution of a Cloudfin Raptor. Passing the turn back. Batista's going to take 1 more draw, I believe, is the case here, my friends.
played today, and what is
It would take a blasphemous act to get back into this game.
Be really good. I mean, the Fire Drink Crusader's in play now, so
Yeah,
Blasphemous
so
Act would be really good.
Ross would take a lot of
This would
damage.
be a lot of damage.
And that is Mizzium Mortis that he cannot overload. He will extend the hand. Ross Merriam is going to win this match and win the Star City Games Standard Open here in Providence with Mono Blue Devotion. Congratulations to him.
Really good run through the elimination rounds. In the quarterfinals and finals, gifted with 2 very good matchups, green-white aggro and mono-red aggro, but had to play a grueling 90-plus minute match against Jim Davis in the semis to get here, and taking a deck that's been off the radar for a while now and winning the championship. Very impressive for Ross, and definitely has a lot of influences for Columbus next weekend.
And we know for sure that Merriam will be heading to the Legacy Open in just a few moments here. We'll bring him into the sideboard with Andrew Schrout to talk about his win, but you have to imagine Combo Elves is on the horizon for him again.
Been playing it for a real long time, and
Yeah.
I see no reason that that's going to change.